All right, welcome back, Internet, to Kenter at Your Own Risk, episode 39, part D of our 2022 Christmas special, where we talk about our favorite animated movies. We're now going into Kent's top 5 of traditional animation, starting with Kent's number 5. What do you got, Kent?
All right, so I'm not cheating, but I do want to discuss two movies simultaneously, only because there's a lot between the two. My number 5 is going to be G.I. Joe the movie, but I didn't realize just how much in relation it had to Transformers the movie. And technically, G.I. Joe was actually supposed to come out before Transformers, but there was some, slowdown and whatnot. And I hope I'm not getting into spoiler territory here, but in Transformers the movie, Optimus Prime dies. Originally, Duke was supposed to die in the G.I. Joe movie, apparently. But then once Transformers came out, they had to switch everything up. Realistically, G.I. Joe the movie's fantastic because it did enough for its marketing purposes to give new toys, but it gave us a good representation of most of the old characters, with a few exceptions. Like Wetsuit didn't even have a single line, I don't think, which was weird. But like the opening, even if you've never seen G.I. Joe, the opening theme song and video with it tells you everything you need to know. Just a bunch of people that are clearly bad at shooting weapons because nobody ever dies in a single episode of G.I. Joe, but they're the best in the world at what they do, but nobody ever dies. It's a very weird concept. I like the fact that at this point in time when this came out, this was a direct-to-video, and then obviously they started showing it, broke up into 4 pieces for the TV series. At the time, I had no idea that Sergeant Slaughter was a pro wrestler, which, I mean, as you guys know, I'm a huge wrestling guy, but at the time, I think the only wrestlers I had ever heard of was not even Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant, and Jake the Snake Roberts, probably. No idea Sergeant Slaughter was a wrestler. But he had a pretty big role in this film. And I would say it's fascinating to hear Burgess Meredith as the bad guy, because I don't know, I'm so used to him being in Twilight Zone as the innocent, meekish type guy, or in Grumpy Old Men as the old pervert. But there's this whole time, in Rocky, for example, or in Magic, or I don't know. Burgess Meredith's been in just a ton of stuff. It's just weird for him to be the villain, and he's awesome at it. He's very awesome at it. So they probably introduced, I don't know, we'll say about 12 new characters just for the toys. It worked because I probably got 8 or 9 of those action figures. And I would say the biggest weakness to this was you have all these established bad guys and good guys, your Duke, your Flint, and Captain Hawk, or Colonel Hawk, whatever, General Hawk. And they don't play a huge role in the finale, and Cobra Commander, he gets turned into a giant-ass snake, so he doesn't really play a role. It's the 3 new bad guys versus the 3 newish good guys kind of in the finale, and I think that's probably the weakest aspect, because, I don't know, when you're thinking G.I. Joe, you want Gung-Ho in there, you want Duke, you want the people that are established. At least one of the established veterans should have been part of the big grand finale fight, and it was just weird.
It's too much money getting Don Johnson and Sergeant Slaughter to be 2 of the main characters.
It's so weird that Don Johnson was in it. It really is, but it's great, too. I don't know, I just watched this Friday night. I watched it, and it was a treat. It's available on YouTube, in 4K, they say, and it looked really nice. But I also saw it was on Vudu for, I don't know, it was on sale for $7. I'm like, this is my treat to myself this month, and I purchased it, so I have no regrets. And I know a lot of people think, a lot of people prefer Transformers the movie, but Transformers the movie, like if I wanted to compare it to something, it's kind of like freaking like Phantasm to me. It's like a big freaking fever dream because I never watched Transformers, so all these things are like, I don't know, fucking weird and new to me, and I had no idea what the fuck was going on. So G.I. Joe was more relatable. I do have one question, though, in regards to Transformers before we talk anything about G.I. Joe. Have either of you seen the Transformers movie, first and foremost?
Dude, that movie ruined my childhood.
Okay. Here's my weird question. Grimlock, he's like he's one of the Dinobots. I liked him, and then I was like, wait, was he Jar Jar Binks before Jar Jar Binks?
No.
No. He was cool at the time.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I don't feel so... either way, I wasn't going to feel bad about liking him, but I was like, I don't know. I can see some parallels to Jar Jar Binks, and I wasn't really sure. But, okay. I mean, Transformers had a better soundtrack, bar none, but G.I. Joe was a better entry point. If you've never seen either franchises, I would say G.I. Joe was easier to get yourself into. So, with that being said, have either of you seen this movie, or do you remember if you did see it?
I think it's funny in that it's like the actual second G.I. Joe movie, but it's the only one called G.I. Joe the movie.
Yeah, because the first one was about Serpentor, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, they threw 4 half-hour episodes of the show together, edited up to remove like the credits and everything, and I think they just released it on VHS initially, but it was like, oh, the G.I. Joe movie. And then after, obviously, Transformers came out, they're like, oh, no, this is the G.I. Joe movie. And yeah, like you said, it was weird because, you had all these existing characters, and yet here the movie is like brand new characters, like fucking they're all the main dudes. And I wanted to laugh too because, when you're like, yeah, it's like Transformers, like literally the scene where Optimus Prime dies and the scene where Duke goes into the coma are exactly the same. And you have a brand new character being voiced by like one of the most famous actors in the project, in G.I. Joe, it's Don Johnson. In Transformers, it's Judd Nelson, getting the pre-existing leader of the good guys, killed or incapacitated for like the entire movie. But the situation, literally how they're held, the framing shots, exactly the fucking same, except, one's a dude and one's a Transformer.
Not only that, my mind was blown when I'm hearing, I think it was Starscream talking, like, wait, when did Cobra Commander, I didn't know that it was the same, not only was the same voice actor, it was like the same voice used for Cobra Commander.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and then you're looking like Optimus Prime did Zartan, in G.I. Joe. So I mean,
right. It's just such a weird experience. I'm glad I did them both in the same night. If anybody's listening to this and watches G.I. Joe the movie, get yourself a nice bottle of liquor, get yourself a shot glass, and take a shot every time that Serpentor says, "This I command." You won't get tanked. You'll just feel good at the end.
I was actually looking this up the other day, completely separate from this, because I was trying to explain to somebody who was in the pack of characters that came with Galobulus, Nemesis Enforcer, and I forgot what the third dude's name was. But I got them for Christmas that year that they came out.
Oh, the red guy, which, they didn't really...
He looked like an ant. They were like the generic...
Yeah.
But they had that sword. Yeah.
But Pythona didn't get a character as far as I remember, which I thought was weird. And I had to look up Big Lob, the basketball player. I was like, why don't I remember having this? I never had that action figure. And then I looked up, it was like $120. I was like, and I'm not going to have it.
Yeah. Yeah, it was expensive in the first place because, the normal G.I. Joes were, I think, like $5.99, $6.99 around the time, and that was like almost $20. But you got 3 characters, so I mean...
Galobulus was a big character, too.
Then they have Sergeant Slaughter, too, with the 3 new guys.
They might have had him with the Renegades, and then they had all the recruits like Jinx, which... By the way, funny thing, at the end, they're like, how do we get Falcon over this wide gap? Sergeant Slaughter takes off his belt, has Jinx, this female ninja girl, grab a hold of it. He starts swinging her and then tells Falcon to jump and grab her by the ankles and just time it just right. That was their solution. Fantastic.
You know it.
Just great. So that was my number 5. Do you have any thoughts, Kevin? I know you didn't really get too much in. I don't know.
I always thought it was weird that Roadblock was the main guy, that it kind of went off with Roadblock and Cobra Commander. This is the same movie, right? Where Roadblock has Cobra Commander, then he turns into a snake. I see the picture on here.
It's such a weird thing, right?
They'll go down I don't know, it felt like a sewer. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah, that was actually, I thought that was pretty cool. And there's the twins, the bad guys in this, the twin guys that do all the acrobats.
Matox and Zaytom or something like that. They're in it.
Tomax
and people actually die in the movie, not in the cartoon TV show, but don't the 2 twins die? I have to give spoilers, but to a cartoon movie of 1987.
I don't think they died. I think they kind of got away, but now I'm not sure. I just watched it.
I remember it kind of seemed that they the people actually died in that, because I don't know. I just remember them jumping around and it was in some building, and then it kind of there's an explosion, but.
Yeah, I don't know if they made any more episodes after this. I don't think they did. So they could have killed them off without... I don't know. I don't think there was any repercussions to anything that they did. They were just we need more toys to get moved, and probably sales were declining at that point, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But good on Hasbro.
I mean, it looks like they didn't. 1985 and 1986 are all that's listed for the show.
And I know I've mentioned it before, but YouTube has a 24/7 G.I. Joe channel, and sometimes I put it on. It's a good time. All right. With that being said, I'll move on to my number 4. And I guess it wouldn't be a list without having a sad movie. And for me, a movie that almost always somehow generates a tear from me, oddly enough, is Charlotte's Web. I feel like this is one of those movies that everybody in our age probably saw, right? Both you guys have seen this, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of kicking myself that I forgot about it, but yeah. I mean, at least...
Kevin, you've seen it?
Oh, yeah. And I didn't forget about it, but it was another one that I was someone's going to have Charlotte's Web, on there. My nephew, actually, he's 8. That's his favorite movie right now, is Charlotte's Web.
I haven't watched the, live action, whatever. I have no interest in it because, to me, the animated one is, I don't want to say perfect, but it's damn near perfection. I can't imagine that they improved upon it in any way imaginable. So, I don't know. It's just a captivating little story, and I mean, for me, I'm terrified of spiders, but yet this is still arguably one of the better stories out there about a spider saving a pig's life. Pig was named Wilbur, right?
Yep, Wilbur.
I think. Okay, and I don't know. I feel like this is one of those things I don't really want to say too much on, because either you've seen it and you know all the plot details and there's not a whole lot more to say, or you haven't seen it, and I think it's fair for all of us to just recommend that you go see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The animation, it was in 1973. The animation looks like that of that era, I would say, right? I don't know, kind of reminds me a little bit of some Hanna-Barbera type animation, maybe.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All of what you just said.
So, and was there songs in this? There was, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember them a ton, but there were.
And Danny Bonaducci. I did not know Danny Bonaducci was in it. Also, Templeton the Rat was one of my favorite characters, and he was voiced by Paul Lindy. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, there's really not too much for me to say. Do you guys want to add anything to it?
No, I think you covered it pretty well. Yeah, I mean it's another classic, from our childhood, from before our childhood. But
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time, but yeah, I remember a lot of it. At least like the big parts. That yeah, if you haven't seen it, yeah, go watch it and enjoy it because it's like you're so far removed from it if you've seen it as many times as I don't know. I imagine we all did as a kid. And read the book too. I remember reading the book.
yeah, and they used to play this in school like once a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was actually something I even read, and I did not read much, admittedly. So, yeah. All right. My number 3 is from Disney. It's my Disney one. It'll be Robin Hood. I was going to go Aladdin because it had more, I don't know, it was more modern. Like, it was a thing that kind of stood out as, like, being the funniest thing. But as I get older, Disney's Robin Hood is actually really hilarious to me in so many ways, mainly with the fucking sheriff of whatever.
Nottingham?
Jeez, yes, thank you. I kept on saying Sherwood, and I'm like, I know that's not it. Yes, Sheriff Nottingham. Like, there's just a lot of unintentionally, I don't even know if it's unintentional, but there's a lot of comedy that, as a kid, there's certain things I laughed at. Now as an adult, there's this whole other section of things that I find funny as all hell. And, like, the term old bushel britches. Like, that's a funny freaking thing to say, right? So that, you got Roger Miller as the big rooster, and Roger Miller, I mean, not everybody knows who Roger Miller is, especially nowadays, but, he was a big time singer back in like the 60s, I'm guessing, 60s, 70s, someplace in that era. He has a great voice. The song Whistle Stop, which is the whistling in the beginning, ended up becoming it became the damn hamster dance, and nobody ever gave credit to it. I was like, wait, that's just fucking Robin Hood. You just sped it up and made it a little more peppy, but it's the same damn thing. Oh, but I don't really know who else was. I really am doing horrible on bringing things up on IMDb as I'm talking. But I don't know. Was there any big names in it? Other than who I mentioned, I'm guessing it's probably maybe names that had I grew up then, like George Lindsay. He was Private Pile, right? I think.
Maybe.
Or Gomer Pyle, I mean.
I was like, is it D'Onofrio?
Yeah, no.
Yes, he was.
Okay. Yeah, Private Pile's a whole other. Yeah, I think a lot of the people, especially the dudes, it looks like they were probably in a lot of the westerns of yesteryear. So, I don't know. I think this is probably my favorite version of Robin Hood, as a matter of fact. I do like Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner, but I think this is probably my favorite telling of the Robin Hood tale. Do you guys have a favorite Robin Hood?
Mine might be Prince of Thieves, just because I'm a huge Christian Slater fan, and Alan Rickman rules.
I really liked Prince of Thieves. For realism, there was a show on HBO when I was growing up that they filmed in Britain called Robin of Sherwood. And they did 2 versions because halfway through, the main guy playing Robin got hired to go be on a soap opera or something, just where he was making more money. So they killed him off, and they went from doing the Robin of Locksley to where he was a poor, guy just from a village, to doing a Robert of Huntington, who was the nobility version of Robin Hood. It was really good. So that probably holds a lot of fondness in my heart. 'Cause I went through in one of the early years when DVD was becoming popular. I bought the whole thing from my mom for Christmas and rewatched it with her, and it still held up story-wise. But this movie's great. I love it. I love Sir Hiss. Did you see? It's got a lot of humor. Like you said, the whole whistle song, even the other ones, are catchy as hell. Like Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest.
Yeah, and even like the sad one, Nottingham, that one. The Lady Cluck, she's also really hilarious.
Yeah, she is.
In like a very male-dominated cartoon, she stands out really quite a bit. I just, this is really a side note, but there is, I watched this movie not a long time ago, but say like 8 years ago. I think it was on Netflix. It's called Robin Hood, Ghost of Sherwood, and it is a horror take on Robin Hood, and it does have Kane Hodder and Tom Savini, and I felt that if not now, then when would I ever possibly bring that up on this podcast? So there you go.
Nice. Sounds interesting.
It's terrible. Don't I'm not recommending it in any way, but the fact that I was like, oh, it's got Kane Hodder and Tom Savini, yeah, I kind of have to watch it. No, I'm not recommending it. So, all right, my number 2 was, I don't know. I went back and forth on whether this was going to be my number 1 or not, but anyways, The Iron Giant is my number 2. I don't know, what studio put it out. It wasn't, it didn't get much marketing. The coolest thing that ever really happened with it was back in, the late 90s, early 2000s, Cartoon Network would play this 24 hours on Thanksgiving. And I would sit there and I'd watch it all day. I had no problem watching the same movie all day. I don't know. There's a lot of cool aspects to it, like the Iron Giant wanting to be Superman. Another cool thing is that there is a character actually named Kent Mansley, voiced by Christopher McDonald, Shooter McGavin, for those who may not know him by name. There's also Vin Diesel, and by far his greatest acting performance as the voice of the Iron Giant. Because I just don't think Vin's that good of an actor. So this was good for him. You had Cloris Leachman, John Mahoney, Harry Connick Jr., Jennifer Aniston. So it wasn't a bad cast. Emmett Walsh is another one that I always like. I don't know. There's this has some of the sentimental sadness. He's going to go. I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, at the end, he does the Iron Giant does the heroic thing to save the planet, even though the military's just trying to destroy him. He still wants to be Superman. He wants to, save his buddy Hogarth, which, I mean, that's another great name, Hogarth. So, I don't know, everything kind of resonates well to me, and there's comedy, there's drama. I think, listening to everybody's list, a lot of the best cartoons have certain layers of all these things. It's not just a straight comedy, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, I'm kicking myself for completely forgetting about this. Completely. Not even on any of my not even on any of the ones I was thinking about, Yeah. Good call.
Oh, I totally thought about this one too. This came out 99, so I saw this as while I was working at the video store, and I wasn't really big into animation, but this one was pretty great. I have not seen it in a while, but I just when I saw it on one of the lists of like a more adult animated movies, I was like, someone's gonna pick the Iron Giant. Like out of the two of them, someone's got to because it's it's like the handful of like movies that I could like pick from. But yeah, I don't know why it didn't set the world on
Right.
fire. It's also directed by Brad Bird, who did The Incredibles and also
Yeah,
Mission
yeah.
Impossible Ghost Protocol.
It really had a lot going for it, but I don't remember it getting marketed all that well. Do you guys remember it too well from a marketing perspective?
I remember seeing trailers all over the place, but yeah, I mean, I didn't see it in the theater or anything when it came out, so.
Yeah, it was kind of like word of mouth, like, and yeah, I just saw it on the shelf at the video store, and I was like, I don't know, this kind of looks like it's like got like a Godzilla Ultraman
Yeah,
kind
that's
of
a good
feel to it,
comparison. Uh,
you know, a little bit,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
I know for Chris, he's not getting this. Kevin, are you getting like a lot of snow where you are, or no? Like
Yeah, we
it's
just
coming
had
down
a lot of
really
snow.
ridiculous at the
Um,
moment. I just happened to look out the window in the midst of this, and yeah, getting a little not a blizzard, but quite a bit.
Rub it in, buddy.
yeah, that was Friday, and then it got all wet, and then it was like super heavy, and um, uh, yeah, we just cleaned it all up yesterday, and it's starting to kind of melt today,
Yeah,
but
enjoy sweating your balls off there,
yeah,
Chris.
It's starting to get
yeah,
chilly. It's getting down to like 60. Actually, I think it's supposed to get dropped down into the 40s this week. So,
All right.
40 is warm again where I'm at. Like 40 is warm again already.
All right. I'm going to get to my final movie, my number one movie, and it's in my top 3 favorite movies of all time, and that's why I couldn't put Iron Giant ahead. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut, is dated by South Park standards because it came out in '99, and well, I think South Park came out in maybe '97 or so.
yeah.
So it was, very early on in the run. But my God, there's some of the jokes still hold up. Like Brooke Shields saying, "I once farted on the set of Blue Lagoon," and immediately gets slapped. It's still freaking hilarious how they played that out, even though, like, the animation just, it's old South Park. It's not as clean as it is nowadays, of course. But they combined, like, they really borrowed a lot from Les Mis, which I don't think many people actually even realize how much of it is a take on Les Mis. Even though there's a song called La Resistance. But you take that, and then you have Kyle's mom fighting against Canada, and you have just a bunch of crazy good songs, and I don't know, it still makes me laugh. It surprisingly still makes me laugh, despite the datedness. And South Park, they recently did like a 25th anniversary concert, which is on Paramount Plus and YouTube. Highly recommend it because they do, I think, like 4 songs from the movie. So it's a lot of fun if you're a South Park fan. I don't know. I can't really say anything about it that, aside from like this animation style, looks like it does. Aside from that, I don't have anything bad I can say about it. It works for me on every level. I'm guessing both of you seen it.
For the characters that they had introduced up to that point, they picked the right one. Like Satan and Saddam Hussein's conversations while they're in hell. Like, Satan, your ass is big and red. Who am I going to pretend you are, Liza Minnelli? I mean, it's just, yeah, like you said, it still holds up.
Yeah.
And some of the jokes are like still like, God is the biggest bitch of them all. Where was God when my mother stuck a fire coat hanger into my head?
I
Well,
mean,
it's been a minute.
Operation Get Behind the Darkies. I mean, that's horribly racist, but the way that they did it, and then like Chef, have you ever heard of the Emancipation Proclamation? And the general being like, I don't listen to hip hop. Like, it's so, I don't know. It's perfect South Park humor, I guess.
Yeah, those guys are brilliant, and I mean the way, like the whole reason those guys have not gotten canceled is because they're like on this whole other level where it's not coming from a cruel place. A lot of their like offensive or shocking humor. I mean, they're always pushing the boundaries, and I saw this in the theater, and it was like, you know, I don't know, like for, a 30, like a 20, whatever, 24 minutes with commercials on like Comedy Central TV show to going to see it in the theater and like everyone I know going to see it in the theater, like in multiple times. And it's a musical and it's a good one.
I feel like I might have seen this in the theater with you and Jay, Kevin. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's very possible. Very possible. So June 30th, 1999. Yeah. And I remember going to see it with my dad also. So I think I saw it a couple times in the theater because that's just what people were doing. They're like, what are we doing? We're going to go see
I
South
think
Park.
I want to say for sure I saw this with Eric, and I don't remember if, I mean, I know I went with my brother too. I think I saw it a couple times in the theater.
Yeah.
Did you guys see when Robin Williams performed Blame Canada at the Oscars? I think it was at the Oscars.
I kind of remember it, but I don't have
Sounds
strong
familiar.
memory. Yeah.
Was it nominated for an Oscar
Yeah, it
for
was
music?
nominated. Yeah.
Oh, so they would have definitely. They probably did have them because they usually play the music at the Oscars. So that.
Yeah, it's really like Robin Williams really was a great choice for a host to have to do that particular song. You know what I mean? Like it works on a lot of levels. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend looking that up on YouTube. So with that's my number one, and that is on Paramount Plus. Iron Giant's on Roku, Robin Hood's on Disney Plus, Charlotte's Web's on Paramount Plus, and G.I. Joe the movie's on YouTube. Just to rehash, where you can find all these things. It's kind of nice. Like, I mean, even 5 years ago, we wouldn't have all these options to tell people where they could find the things that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. Who knows where we'll be, though? I mean, I'm imagining with streaming services competing as much while they're, struggling to retain their profitability, that 5 years we might not have stuff like Tubi and Freevee and what have, that are willing to just put whatever up there.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps changing almost, every year or two. It's really tough to predict what the hell's going to be, in 5 years, of course. So one of the questions that I had, that I was just kind of curious, because I have a very small list of movies that really I wanted to talk about, but I couldn't, they just weren't my top five. Was there any, one or two movies that just you wanted to talk about but just didn't crack your top five for any of this? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Kevin.
Okay. Yeah, I probably don't have a lot. I really didn't get around to watching a lot of movies. I kind of went with like notable movies, and I kind of wanted to like experience the movies that I haven't seen before, rather than watching like Who Framed Roger Rabbit for like another another time. Which I do love that movie, and I don't own it for some reason. But that was a movie I liked a lot as a kid. But I was like, it is mostly, I guess, live action, but I don't know. But I loved that movie as a kid, and like it was probably the first face melting scene I've ever seen, and you just don't appreciate seeing that stuff like in the theater, and yeah, like killing cartoons and stuff. Like it was just a super whacked out Looney Tune cartoon, like and mixed with film noir. Uh, that still holds up today. So if I was doing like best ever, I would probably put that on there. And yeah, I don't know.
Jessica Rabbit.
Yeah.
Of course.
But yeah, I just recently rewatched that. Well, not too recently, but when we got Disney Plus, I was like, you know what? Let me see if this holds up. And I really have to applaud Bob Hoskins for that because, he wasn't filming with a green screen for most of it. So like, almost all of his performance is just having to pretend that he's interacting with something that isn't there. They didn't have like a tennis ball or something to, focus your eyes on to give him an idea for that kind of shit. So, like that had to be one of the most difficult, like CG kind of performances that somebody's ever filmed.
Yeah, it just blew my mind.
Definitely.
Like, I mean, they did it before, I guess, a little bit in like Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
But to do, yeah, that kind of stuff and like all the tricks, the bar stools. I remember seeing like some like behind the scenes stuff where it's just Bob Hoskins. And I think the Roger Rabbit, the guy who did the voice, was reading the lines to him though, like off camera.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't completely isolated, but still, I mean, you look at like what he gave compared to today where, they can green screen everything and, have the dude in the room with you and him not show up on the, the final finished product.
Yeah, it was very impressive for its time. And still holds up. Chris, did you have any that
Yeah, like my top 5 Disney animated movies, and I don't know how they would have fit in with my traditional, but they would have rounded out, like, if it had been a 10, would have been Lion King. Again, I'm not a big super fan of The Lion King. I don't hate it like you do, Kent, but I can acknowledge, like, at least the music, if nothing else, is fucking awesome.
Oh, Jeremy Irons
sure,
is Scar, like, and then the
I
Goldberg
like,
and Cheech Marin as the hyenas, like that movie.
James Earl Jones. I love James Earl Jones. And then Fantasia. Yeah, I love music. So the fact that it's like an entire movie with like almost no like lines at all, and it's just orchestra. Great.
Fantasia almost made my list too. That's funny.
But then for me, the top 3 Disney were the 3 that came out right in a row. Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, I could see swapping around. Little Mermaid was definitely the weakest out of them for me. But Beauty and the Beast holds the distinction, along with Gladiator and Dogma, of being the movie that I've seen most in theaters. I saw each one of those 4 times.
Whoa.
Huh. Now, here's a question. And, I mean, the age gap here between the 3 of us is, what, only like 4 years between... I don't know what... Kevin, I don't know how old you are, and Chris, I don't know how old you are. I think I'm right in the middle, though.
Kevin, I was born in 79.
81.
Okay, so not a large gap at all. I was 80.
Right.
Like, yeah. Do you think that if we talk to a different generation, do you think that trilogy, The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin holds up as strong, or is that just a product of us being that age?
I think it's a product of us being that age, but also the quality. Because, I mean, if you look at the ones before that, you were looking at, like, Oliver and Company, The Great Mouse Detective, The Black Cauldron, which I really wanted to like because I love the books and I love the premise of, like a fantasy thing with, like, George C. Scott as the bad guy, but they just weren't memorable. And then you get a couple after that were pretty good and pretty decent, like Hercules, Pocahontas, Mulan. But I think if you asked, like, younger people, especially significantly younger, it wouldn't be the same. I mean, because I think Princess and the Frog was the very last traditionally animated Disney movie, and that was in the 2000s. So you probably have, kids today who haven't even seen something that wasn't CGI.
That makes sense.
My niece has seen, I think, like Beauty and the Beast is pretty timeless. The original cartoon, at least, and Aladdin. I don't know, but definitely when Chris read those three off, I was like, well, that is because that was like our time.
Yeah.
We were of that age.
I think, if they didn't win, I think they were nominated every year for the, at least Best Music, if not Best Animated as well.
Beauty and the Beast was nominated for Best Picture, and they kind of created the animated thing because of that movie, because they wanted to include more movies, and they were only doing like 5 movies at that time, I think, so they weren't doing like 8 to 10 movies.
Yeah.
So, and Beauty and the Beast was, so it's one of the, it's probably one of the most prestigious of the Disney films, I think, especially of our era anyways.
I would also throw in, and is not as good and probably not with as good music, but 101 Dalmatians I think still holds up pretty damn good.
Let me consider how many times they've remade it.
Yeah, that's a whole thing. I'm going to just throw a few different movies that were on my possible list. Like The Land Before Time.
Yep.
Very good. Probably would have made a top 10. Like The Five, An American Tale. Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island is really, really, really surprisingly good. That's kind of right when they started bringing back good Scooby-Doo movies, the cartoon versions at least. And I don't know, I think that flies under the radar. And another movie that I'm guessing neither of you have ever even seen is called Extraordinary Tales, which is the retelling of, I think, 5 Edgar Allan Poe stories by 5 different narrators. It's animated. The whole thing's animated, and it's really well done. So those all would have been possibilities if I did a top 10 list. So.
Yeah, I mean, there were just a ton too that we could have added. I mean, like, I would have liked to have thrown on How to Train Your Dragon. I really like that whole series. I don't know, like, yeah, there's a ton of DC movies I could have said, because like you guys were saying, DC's knocked it out of the park with a bunch of them. The Killing Joke, Batman: The Dark Knight, Long Halloween, so.
Some of the Justice League ones are pretty good. And especially, like, it's amazing how good a lot of the DC is compared to Marvel. Doesn't have a lot of animated, and the ones that they do are very hit and miss. Like, I tried watching Planet Hulk before doing this list, and I got halfway through and I was just like, this isn't that good for me.
No, they didn't do a good job of that one, and Planet Hulk is one of my favorite Hulk storylines too. So, and then things like Coraline, Rango. I mean, yeah, if we wanted to make a huge list, we could have added a whole bunch of stuff, but
Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
See, I always
Nightmare
wait for
Before
somebody
Christmas.
saying that. Yeah, that's the one. That was.
I figured someone was going to do that too, but
yeah,
I'm not a big fan.
I dislike A Nightmare Before Christmas.
I was boring when I was a kid. I rewatched it after, trying to separate it from like the Walmart goth trend that it is. But it's cool. Like, there's some cool stuff about it, like that it came out that time. But I don't know, like 10 years old, 11 years old. I didn't really want to watch like a musical Tim Burton movie. I would just rather watch like Beetlejuice again.
Yeah.
All right, so one movie that I own this movie, and I didn't put it on the list because like I like it a lot. It's cool. Maybe I thought Kent was going to mention it, but it was the Haunted World of El Super Beasto by Rob Zombie. And and it's cool. It's weird. Like Tom Papa is like the main character in it, and he's uh like mostly like a PG-13 like clean kind of comic. And he's in this like I don't know. I guess it was they were gonna do another sequel to the you know uh, House of a Thousand Corpses movies, but that I don't know what happened with that. But he ended up doing this instead, and I think this was before or was it after Halloween? I don't remember.
This is after Halloween and Halloween 2.
Oh, it is after both. Yeah, it was weird that he came out with a cartoon movie.
Right. Not to interrupt your flow here, but I tried watching The Munsters, and I think I got 10 minutes and I had to tap out. I don't know. I'm going to have to go back and finish it, but I don't... I think, Kevin, you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Does it... All right, if I didn't laugh and say the first 10 minutes, am I going to find anything funny moving forward, or is it kind of more of the same, would you say?
It really depends. I mean, it's a lot of like hokey one-liners, PG kind of humor. I mean, like the cartoon movie's definitely darker, but the Munsters, I like it aesthetically. I think the sets are really cool.
Oh,
yeah. He's working on like a tight budget, and it's worth seeing. It's okay, but and then I guess maybe that's why I didn't put El Super Bisto on the list too, because more or less it's kind of, it's kind of like novelty. But I own it, and I'll watch it every couple years.
Fair enough. Now, if we're done with the animation conversation, I guess we would move on to what we've recently seen. I kind of want to kick it off with, I finally saw Nope, and I was telling Kevin that I saw Nope. I'm guessing, Chris, you still haven't, right?
No, I still haven't seen it.
All right, so there's really no point in spoiling anything. I will
I've
just say
had
this.
It spoiled for me, so if you want to talk about it,
I'll tell you
go ahead.
this, Chris. I actually liked it. I liked a Jordan Peele movie. Shocking, right?
Yeah, it's not something I would have expected to hear in 2022.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked like all the main performers. I don't know. I had a lot more fun with that than I did, with Get Out and Us. I think it actually was meant to be a more fun film, though, compared to those other two as well, though. So, yeah.
Yeah, they have the set. They're like keeping the set that they made like on the back lot of his Universal Studios.
They're keeping it?
Yeah, they're keeping it. It's going to be like a fixture. I mean, they'll probably rip it out in a few years if the movie doesn't like pick up, but it's on some top 10 lists. Definitely on my top 10 of the year. So, but yeah, it's a really fun sci-fi blockbuster film, but it's like different.
It definitely is different. I don't know. I feel like Jordan Peele kind of infused a little bit more of his humor into this one, which made it more fun for me, at least. And I really like Steven Yeun. I really do. I don't know. I don't have anything negative to say about any of the main 4 or 5 characters. And it was just exciting to see Keith David. Always exciting for me.
And Michael Wincott too. Like,
yes.
You don't see enough of them, so it was great. Yeah, it was a really really thrilling film to see in the theater, and I can't wait to rewatch it next year.
Yeah. I think for me, the only other big thing that I can think of that I've been watching a little bit was more of the Cabinet of Curiosities show on Netflix. Now I'm 3 or 4 episodes in. Everything's been much better than that last episode. I saw the first episode and I saw the one that had the autopsy, and both were very good.
I think the autopsy was the highlight for me. Best one out of the series.
I liked the first episode mainly because I like that the main dude. I can't think of his name, but I like him in a lot of things that I've seen him in. All I can think of is Watchmen at the moment, but
yeah, that and the one with George Clooney and what's his face? Oh, brother, where art thou?
Oh, yeah. Shit. Is his name like Tim or something like that?
Tim Blake Nelson?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's also a director.
I just find his performances to be pretty captivating, even if the material that he has isn't great. I think I just really like him as a performer.
He's fun to watch in a bad movie, right? He's one of those great character actors.
Yeah. And I tried watching Ninja 3 on Amazon, and if you have time, watch the first 13 minutes of Ninja 3 and just stop after that and you'll be fine. But it's a good time. That's really all I've watched that's been new. I've been watching a lot of old wrestling and cartoons, so...
Interesting.
What have you guys been watching? I mean, Kevin, I'm sure you got like 200 different things that you've watched. Anything super compelling, though?
Yeah. Wait, when you said cartoons, do you mean the cartoons that we were watching for this, or other cartoons?
A little from column A, a little from column B. I still just like watching cartoons sometimes.
Well, that's cool. What cartoons do you watch?
I recently rewatched some of the Legend of Zelda cartoon that was horrible, but I have it on DVD and it's still laughable to watch. Captain Nintendo. I don't know, I guess I've been in a video game kind of mood, so that might influence a little bit of what I've been watching. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
But okay, so I started my film collection over, and I'll just talk about these movies because how I have my film collection is that it's alphabetical by director, and then at the very end I have all of the best picture winners. So I finished Nomadland, and then I kind of circle over because the only way that, as Kent was talking earlier, he has all these movies and he's doesn't know if he'll be able to watch all of them. So I watch every single movie in order through my collection, in between watching streaming services and stuff. So it was Star Trek by J.J. Abrams in 2009 was the first one. And then Tales from the Crypt, Bordello of Blood, which I watched last night, was the second one, directed by Gilbert Adler, who I think directed only that movie. He was more of a producer. And then I watched Gone Baby Gone, directed by Ben Affleck, which I think was 2007, starring Casey Affleck. So that's...
Adler did a lot of the Tales from the Crypt show,
yeah, he did.
Right?
And he produced the other movie too, but it's as director, I think that's the only thing he directed. He was more of a producer guy. And he did some other things that I recognized, but...
Right, yeah. Demon Knight was the better of the... Well, technically there's 3 Tales from the Crypt movies, not including the 70s, Hammer film one.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Bordello of Blood was fun. It wasn't great, but it was fun. Demon Knight I thought was excellent. And then there was a third one, and I've only watched it once. It had something to do with, some voodoo shit, if I'm not mistaken. It was okay. It wasn't nearly as bad as the reviews were, but... That's just my opinion, and sometimes I'm desperate for something cheesy.
Ritual?
Yeah, there you go, Ritual.
Didn't even know that existed.
It was okay.
I love Tales from the Crypt. Yeah, Bordello of Blood was, I bought it for $3 on eBay, so maybe it was it was 5 or 6 with shipping and handling, but I remember I had a lot of fun watching it this time around, and I actually appreciated it more. I feel like when I, with the special effects and that kind of stuff, I was kind of spoiled at the time, because there was so many great things going on, and I didn't really appreciate sort of the movies. I mean, it's not as good as Demon Knight at all, but I remember it more fondly than I did as when it came out. It's fun. It's not as nearly as fun as it wants to be, but.
Yes. Okay. That is the exact vibe that you get, because the movie really wants to be funny and lighthearted, and it just missed the mark at times. because Dennis Miller, I mean, anytime you're going to cast Dennis Miller as the lead, I mean, I think that's kind of the vibe you're going for, right?
Yeah, I read a review, and it said a little bit of Dennis Miller goes a long way, but he's got a lot of screen time in this, and I thought that was kind of fitting because it's just like one-liner after one-liner after one-liner, which I like. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it had Corey Feldman,
Yes,
right?
before he
And
like totally drifted off into obscurity. Like it was like that and like Meatballs 4 like solidified him to be film cult status. And at least he's got that, I guess.
Fair enough.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So I'm just trying to remember what I've finished since the last time we talked. Well, I watched all of Wednesday on Netflix, and I'll say if you're a Tim Burton fan, you'll probably like it. I just watched Bullet Train.
I
a night or two ago.
Bullet Train.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah, how
Bullet
was
Train
that?
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. It reminded me of like. I know this is gonna be like right up your alley, Kat, but it reminded me kind of like a more actiony, like Lucky Number 11. The way like the circumstances all, ended up, tying into each other. I watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special, which was fucking awesome. If you haven't seen it.
I've heard nothing but good things about all three things that you've mentioned so far. So
I'm trying to think of I've been watching Tulsa King on Paramount Plus, and I'm really enjoying that. It's probably the best
with
thing.
Stallone, right?
Yeah, the best thing I've seen with Stallone in a couple of
Taylor
years.
Sheridan, right?
Yeah, I like. Yeah, Taylor Sheridan wrote it, and he directed a couple of the episodes too so far. So it's actually been really strong so far. I've been watching Willow, and the verdict is out on that. Hopefully, it ends up being good. But right now, it's just in the okay column. It's not anywhere near as bad as people are saying. It's not anywhere near as other good people are saying. It's just somewhere in the middle. I watched the Santa Clauses with my wife and my son, and that was kind of cute. It wasn't bad for being only a 6-episode series, with clocking in at around half an hour each episode. That was
it's a series.
Yeah.
I thought it was a movie.
No, they did a series, and it just got renewed for season 2. So that'll be out probably hopefully next year. If they're going to time it for Christmas.
Yeah.
One of the best things I've seen recently was the Christmas Story sequel. Shit, I forgot what the hell it was called.
Christmas Story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. With the guy from, Christmas
Ralphie?
Story, grown up, and it actually, Peter Billingsley, and they actually brought back his friends too, like Flick and Schwartz and Scott Fargus. You know what I mean? So it was one of those ones, kind of like Top Gun Maverick, where they used nostalgia, but they didn't overuse it. It wasn't a bunch of
They made it work
berries.
that good?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't great. It wasn't as good as Top Gun Maverick, but it was probably one of the best new Christmas movies I've seen in, I don't know, the last couple of years. I think other than that, that's relatively been it. I mean, our last one was just a couple of weeks ago, so
I do want to add.
haven't had.
So Wednesday, I actually watched Addams Family yesterday with my 10-year-old niece, and because I think she, knows all the internet clatter about the show Wednesday, but I let her choose, and we were gonna do the animated Addams Family, which I haven't seen, but that wasn't on anything, so I did watch the original 1990 Addams Family, directed by Barry Sonnenfeld, and that was a lot of fun. That when you get to watch it fresh with a 10-year-old who's never seen or didn't even know who Wednesday Addams was, so it was That was fun.
Yeah. I'll say this, like, Jenna Ortega killed it as Wednesday. And Catherine Zeta-Jones is really good, too. Louise Guzman did something different than Raul Julia, because, I mean, just trying to go up against Raul Julia in one of his last roles, you know, it wasn't going to happen. I did not like him as much, but I didn't think he did a bad job. It was just, you know, like I said, something different, his own take. But Fred Armisen as Fester, I didn't like. I think he's probably the weakest part. Thank God he's only in one episode.
Why was he cast as Fester?
I don't know.
He's hip with the kids.
That don't even make sense to me. You should have just cast me.
That would have worked.
Just have to shave a little bit. I have to interject and just say I still have on IMDb. I have the Munsters up on my screen, and like it's playing all the videos. And while Chris was talking, at one point, all of a sudden it says from director Kevin Sorbo, and I was just like, "What?" I never would have. I don't know. I didn't even know Kevin Sorbo directed much of anything, but sure enough,
it's all all straight up like Christian movies.
Yeah, I have no idea what it was. It was just I saw that and I was just stunned, and yeah. All right, are you guys got everything you got?
Yeah, I don't think I got anything else to add. Kent, you want to go into what we're going to be doing next month?
I do, and then I got a little game. So, next month is something I've been waiting for, about a year and a half now, I would say.
All your life?
Yeah, okay, my whole life. We are going to do a Nightmare on Elm Street franchise discussion, and I'm sure it's going to be, longer than our traditional podcast, but it'll be long and loving. I'm excited. So,
yes,
Nightmare on Elm Street retrospective, maybe.
Yeah, that's Nightmare on Elm Street. Shit, what the hell?
Yeah,
franchise retrospective. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try to. I don't know if Never Sleep Again is available streaming anywhere. If not, I'm just gonna buy it because that's going to be full of good information that we need. But either way, I'm super excited. Plus, I still got like the box set that has like some cool notes inside of it. I don't know. Throughout my life, I've been collecting certain Nightmare on Elm Street stuff, so this is like the perfect podcast for me. So I'm very enthusiastic about it. And it shows Never Sleep Again is not on streaming, so I'll probably just buy it. So, all right. With that being said, I don't remember. Kevin, did we play a round of slash cards?
I think so. Yeah.
When you were on?
Yeah.
Last time. We did? Okay. Well, I got 2 cards picked. Who wants to go first?
You don't mind, Chris?
Okay.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
All right. Now, on this card, there is one question that I am so ashamed that I could not... Oh, had I read a little further, I would have gotten it. Okay. First question. List 3 named dogs in horror films. 3 named
dogs in horror films. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get them all. Well, there's Cujo. There is... I feel like, is it Wolfie from Lost Boys? Nanook, yeah.
Nope, it's Nanook.
And is there a Wolfie from something? I don't know. Sounds familiar. Yeah, I don't know. I'm so bad at like pulling out.
It's just being on the spot.
Yeah. Do you have a one, Chris? Any other names?
Max from Man's Best Friend.
Yeah. I was also trying to think of the one from Pet Sematary
Wolfie?
2, because I believe it was a dog.
Yeah.
But that could be. The other example they gave was Beast from The Hills Have Eyes, but I would not have remembered that one. All right. So, I admit that I know this is the most shameful thing I'm going to say. I didn't quite get this because I didn't see the date. I think my thumb was over it. All I saw was a tricycle, a typewriter, and an axe. And I'm like, I know this. How do I not know this? But I couldn't figure it out.
And an axe. Well, is it The Shining? Okay.
Yeah. Like, one of my favorite films. I
was kind of thinking Misery for some reason.
We don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah, and the axe, even though it's like a sledgehammer, right?
Because the typewriter, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But then I saw 1980. I was like, oh, yeah.
Oops.
Really, moment of stupidity on my part. All right. Now, this question here is why I thought this was appropriate for this podcast. Horror can show up in unexpected places, like the Horned King from this 1985 Disney cartoon.
So 1985 Disney cartoon?
Yes.
The Horned King. I'm blanking. I'm thinking of Legend, but that's not Disney. Oh.
No,
go ahead.
I know this one. This would have been a perfect card for me. It's the Black Cauldron, and it was actually George C. Scott who played him.
Yep.
He only had like
Must be pretty good for talking about it now, right?
Wait.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to fucking waste a fucking legend.
Yeah. All right. I thought this was going to be a stupid trick question, but it's not. All right. What is the name of the masked killer in Halloween?
Yeah.
The Shape.
Is it Mike Myers?
Yeah, that's what I thought they were going to go with. Yeah.
Oh, well.
I swear, though, I have another card in there that asks pretty much the same question, and it's The Shape is the answer. So
Yeah, if it was any other Halloween,
I think it was credited. I think because that's in the credits. It's The Shape.
Right. Yeah, but
so.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they didn't decide that it was actually Mike Myers until Halloween 2.
Right. Okay. And finally, atomic weapons testing results in giant radioactive ants that threaten to destroy humanity in this 1954 film.
Is it them? Oh,
them?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is them. So, all right. Now, Chris, you'll understand why this card is here by question number 2. But the first one, pretty easy. Name 2 horror movies starring Vincent Price.
We got Pit and Pendulum. And shit, what was the Wax Museum?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. House on Haunted Hill.
Yep.
Also, I mean, he did what? Like, I mean, countless. But all right, all right. Here it is. Salo, or the 120 Days of Sodom, is one of the most disturbing films ever made. But what sadist wrote the book that inspired the film?
I think I have no idea. That would.
Oh, I thought you.
No, that would be a Kevin question. Because I literally heard you guys talking about this earlier.
I don't know.
Kevin, do you know? No.
Yeah.
The Marquis de Sade.
I should have just thought of Waxworks. You know, who's a famous sadist?
All right. In Pet Sematary, 1989 original version, what Native American tribe created the burial ground that can resurrect the dead?
I
I don't even know if it's a real tribe.
don't remember.
I'm
Yeah, I think it
honest.
is.
I think they made it up. Is the Micmac?
Or maybe I
Is that a
believe it
real
is because I
tribe?
watched Pet Cemetery since I was 8 years old.
Oh, okay. Well,
That
if
movie
it is,
like
I apologize.
terrified me.
All right. All right, Chris. I feel confident that you got this. What actor played Quint the fisherman in Jaws?
Oh shit!
Is that the
what's
main
first
character?
name? No, that was the guy who gets eaten right at the end.
The hard ass,
Yeah.
if you will.
I don't remember his name. It was Shaw.
Yeah.
Robert Shaw. Yeah. I mean, it's Roy Scheider and Richard Dreyfuss are easy because I remember seeing them in a bunch of other shit when I was growing up. But
Yeah, I think Robert Shaw did like some westerns, if I'm not mistaken, or war movies, or maybe both.
yeah, I don't remember seeing him in much else afterwards.
All right, and final question. I'm confident between the two of you got it. A mad scientist kidnaps 3 tourists and sews them together to conduct a ghastly experiment in this 2009 film.
Human Centipede.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just thought it was kind of funny that I had a question about an animated film and then one about Salo, back-to-back cards.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
all right.
Hey, I feel like we only missed like one between the two.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. So,
All right. Well, Internet, thank you for putting up with us as long as you have. Kent, Kevin, it was a pleasure. And again, I love doing these ones where we got a little break from the blood and guts and horror, and get to talk about, fun stuff sometimes.
Oh,
or happy stuff, I should
cartoon
Well, I
boobs.
guess a lot of our animated movies weren't happy, so.
yeah, you guys really went darker than I thought you would. I really kind of kept it pretty tame, and Kevin's fucking got what the
Bad
fuck was
God,
that?
yeah, that's really awesome.
Shit, the mad god. I'm sitting there, I'm like, oh jeez.
I will say this, that seeing those trailers for it made me really want to see that movie.
Absolutely. So, I was happy to do that, and it's cool to take a break from the horror sometimes, and maybe next year, like around June or something, we can take a break and do something like fun summer movies or some dumb shit. I don't know, but yeah. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to anybody listening.
Yep. Take care,
I
people.
get this up before then.
And next time we'll be doing this, we'll be talking to you from 2023. So happy holidays and take care.
So yeah.